Hello, everyone. We're back. Nick Chavez here with Chavez and Valko, your key to immigration solutions. Here with my law partner Martin Valko, and today, we'll be discussing how immigration will look under Donald Trump now that he's been elected president. His term doesn't start until January, so we're not going to see any immediate changes there. But based on his rhetoric, his prior policies from the first time around, we have a pretty good idea of what to expect, and we'll talk about that today. But before we begin, just a quick reminder, please be sure to hit like and subscribe or follow us. We'll be posting more regularly as we see more changes on the immigration front and as we transition to the Trump administration and their policies. So, we understand that many of you feel, anxious and uncertain about the future of immigration policy. But just know that we are here to help you face those challenges. We did it before, back in 2017 during his first term. We helped so many clients navigate through the immigration process, despite the travel bans and other restrictions, and we'll continue to do so because we're here really to fight alongside you. And we'll be sharing information about these developments as they become available, policies, procedures. We'll dissect them and analyze them for you so that you could be more prepared, because that's the key, right? Being aware of what is to come and prepare your case strategy or defense accordingly. So that's one of the key things. Martin, I want to get your opinion about what went through your head when you saw the news about the election.
It's good to be back, Nick. We've been off for a couple of weeks, and coming back to this news that we are going to be living through Trump 2.0 is I don't know. It's surreal. Feels surreal. I stayed up. I was watching every electoral vote come in, and here we are. These are the elections. These are the results. Obviously, we're Americans, and we have to respect the elections and respect the voice of the people. And just like Vice President Harris said, they were democratic elections, and they will go through, and with President Trump, Biden said that they will go through the peaceful transition. We got to respect it. We've been there. It's been scary at times, not just for us, but certainly for our clients, immigrants in this country that make up a very, very strong foundation of this country. And so they just what you said, I echo what you said. We want to reinforce and reiterate that we're going to be there, or we're going to be here for them, and fight alongside and try to deflect and respond to whatever is thrown at us. And that's why we've been practicing and we've lived through the 4 years of the very, very tough practices and anti-immigrant rhetoric, and so we'll be here. We gotta be ready.
Yeah, we've been through the dark ages, and just recently, I would say a couple of months back, one of our clients just became a U.S. citizen, and it reminds me about when we first represented her. It was during the Trump administration. This was back in 2017, 2018, maybe. And there was a travel ban. We were calling them Trump bans. And it was a challenge. So she came in the United States, fiance, and then later became a green card holder. And now, 7 years later, can you believe it? And it was a challenge. It was during the Trump administration, navigating through all the bureaucracy and all those restrictions that he was piling on. But we were able to do it, and with their patience, 7 years later, she's here, U.S. citizen. So it could be done.
I remember the travel ban very well. We had a client who was stuck at the DFW airport. One of the I know, handful that got stuck and detained, and we were fighting there alongside other attorneys to get them released. So we're
I
back.
remember that. I remember.
It's
Were you on
supposed to
TV?
be,
Were you on TV? I forget if they interviewed her.
yeah, we were on TV with Mayor Rawlings at
Yeah.
that time, and many other fighters, many other attorneys. But she was one that was flying out of Africa, where the ban went into effect when she was in flight, and then when she landed, all of a sudden they could not get out. They could not be inspected and admitted. They were detained immediately, and it was a shock. So reading newspapers, reading online stories right now, it's supposed to get what did the
some of the changes we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, it's supposed to get not just supercharged. It's supposed to get Stephen Miller, special assistant to President then President Trump, said it's gonna get turbocharged.
Yeah,
supercharged, and so let's see what they have.
Well, yeah, and speaking of those potential changes or likely changes, these, one of them, right, is this rhetoric about a massive deportation. Trump, I think yesterday, said that there's no price tag for his mass deportation plan, but yeah, there is. It's huge. It's like in the trillions of dollars to effectuate this program. But what do you think about that? I mean, it's what do you think some of the bigger immigration changes we're going to see immediately next year?
Well, that's exactly what was there are a couple that came through the wires, and one of them is massive deportation, and this is something that he ran on, and he's had his surrogates debate it and try to pitch it and try to explain it. The latest that I heard was that there will be, or they're planning on several steps or waves, but I think they talked about it in steps. Step one was focusing on hardened criminals that have been criminally convicted, and they're still in the U.S. and they are here without any kind of status. So we'll see what that number is. I think they were throwing around somewhere around 350,000 convicted criminals that they will try to go after. And so, I mean, this is not news. I mean, whether it's ICE under Trump or ICE under Biden or under Obama, I mean, that's the protocol, right? I mean, if you are not supposed to be here, if you've been convicted for some serious crimes, then they've always gone after people like that, right? But even people like that have a right to be defended and to be heard before an immigration judge. There is a due process that we cannot forget, that everybody has a right to, and so. So that's step one. That's wave one. Then I read something about denaturalization, and I think this is what the assistant had said, that they're going to turbocharge it or supercharge it. And I mean, I just want to tell you how nuts this is, because I consulted this morning with a gentleman who was so scared. He did not sleep. And his question, and I was waiting, something like, okay, what did you omit on your naturalization application?
Right.
Who's now a citizen? And he said, Mr. Valko, I forgot to disclose a traffic ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm afraid. I couldn't sleep last night. My wife was just discussing this. We're afraid that they're going to come after me. And so we're talking about a speeding ticket that he's paid for it. And this was outside of the 5-year good moral character. So we've gone through the mechanics and of the naturalization application, and so this, these announcements have that kind of effect. So imagine this is a naturalized U.S. citizen who is afraid that somehow they're going to come after him because he forgot to disclose a traffic ticket for which he paid. And so imagine what it's doing to others. So that's supposed to be something that's going to be happening very quickly. Apparently, they started denaturalizations under that first administration, and they're gonna get back to it right away. And you could imagine right before they left the office, they were talking about. In fact, not just talking. they were going to dismantle temporary protected status programs for various country designees, right? Various countries that were designated as TPS countries. And in fact, they've already issued, they were going to cancel some of them. And then the Biden administration had canceled those decisions. So we could be looking at some again, and those are the countries like Honduras, El Salvador, something that hasn't been, things have gotten better over the last 10, 15 years. And so I think that's going to be one thing they're going to be looking at, is trying to dismantle TPS. You have TPS for Lebanon, you have TPS for Ukraine, and handful and a dozen other countries. You're going to have the parole programs, that will get revisited, right? You have parole from 7, 8 other countries right now that people are able to sign up and be sponsored by U.S. citizens, or from countries like Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Those are the ones that have this parole program that is currently in place, and I'm pretty certain that's going to get stopped and dismantled right away. Then you have the FRPs, the reunification programs, paroles for families. There's 7 countries in that program, and I'm almost certain that's going to get dismantled. So that's just a preview of what's to come.
Yeah, and speaking of those parole programs, I mean, if you have parole or if you have TPS, I mean, reading the tea leaves here, we see that the future of those programs, it doesn't look good. So if you have TPS or if you have parole, I mean, you got to speak with a lawyer. There could be some options there. People with TPS, they're here because their situation back home is pretty messed up. They could have an asylum claim, for example. That could be your plan B, or you could have a family member. Maybe your son or daughter is going to turn 21 soon, and that opens it up as well to apply for legal permanent residence. So there are options, and it's important to be prepared. Look for plan B, look for plan C, and speak with a lawyer for sure. One of those parole programs that we were looking at really carefully, right? We had with the announcement of the parole-in-place program over the summer. This is something that benefited many individuals, right? And we have breaking news from yesterday. If the elections weren't bad enough, we got another gut punch from yesterday's news about parole in place under the Biden's Keeping Families Together initiative. As I said, it helps so many mixed status families by promoting family unity and just giving them a pathway to become legal permanent residents here without separating the families. It's a good idea, right? It's like 500,000 people would be eligible for that, but the impact is much broader. Millions of U.S. citizens and spouses and children, they'll be affected because of this. But yeah, yesterday, we were doing our Spanish show, and it had just broken a couple of minutes earlier, and Judge Barker, he ruled against the PIP program, and basically he said that the administration did not have the legal authority to grant parole in place. Now, what was funny about it is that parole in place is something that USCIS, that the agencies have used in the past. This is not something new. But the judge said here, you know what, parole is an entry permit, which is true, and it should only benefit those who are outside, not those inside. In other words, the judge said that there is no authority for those who are already inside, because parole is supposed to be given for those who are outside. But okay, but the judge ignored other issues here. Standing of did the states have the right to file a suit in the first place? How were they harmed, and really didn't really address those. It could be appealed to the Fifth Circuit. DHS hasn't made a comment yet. I checked. It's interesting that they haven't, but it could be appealed. But let's just say that they win, that PIP prevails. Trump has these programs, like we said, in the crosshairs, and he could easily revoke them. So that's something to consider. And we spoke about this at the beginning, if you recall, many times during our shows. We spoke about these potential pitfalls, litigation and elections being number 2 on that list. But we're also waiting for USCIS to respond with instructions. So if you have your parole in place filed already, I would recommend that, don't stress over it. Next week we'll get instructions or just more information on what's going to happen, whether it's going to be appealed or not, and what is USCIS going to do with those cases that are already there. And speaking of which, we do have somebody who did mention that he has military PIP, and he sent everything in March, and he's waiting for his permit. This case with the family parole in place, it has broader implications. Could it affect military PIP? It could. It could, and that would be a shame, because a lot of individuals who are applying for military parole in place, those are individuals who have family members in the U.S. military, and they want to apply for the green card here. Same with the spouses of the U.S. citizens under the Keeping Families Together initiative. So I don't know what's going to happen to military PIP. Just continue looking at that. It's been filed since March. It does take a while. We've had cases where there hadn't been a determination on the military PIP. They don't consider it a high priority, unfortunately, but it wouldn't surprise me if it took 6 months to a year for them to make a determination. Thank you for your question, Adela. Frank Anadis has a question. Well, if you have a Frank has a biometric scheduled. There's a fingerprint appointment for next week. Should I still go? Well, the final order from the judge was that the parole in place program is invalid. So USCIS has to respect that. The question now is, what is DHS going to do? Are they going to appeal this decision? So for now, I am expecting some sort of notice from USCIS about them about individuals who are in your situation, who are filing and maybe have gotten a fingerprint notice and what to do. But it stands to reason that if it's nullified, then I wouldn't go, but just waiting till further instructions from USCIS. One of the things that we do have another question here from Eli Bike. Yeah, he's a DACA recipient. He was approved. He's been waiting for I-131. This is the DACA advanced parole, and he's inquired with the service center and is wondering what the situation there is. For those who have DACA, how do you see it, Martin? What do you think? We have an idea, right? We're talking about it. But,
yeah, DACA's in place, and we're working on them. In fact, I have a few on my desk right now on the DACA advanced paroles, the travel permits, and so we're still plowing ahead with those. We're preparing them, and they're pending. The typical wait time for those had actually shortened for us, or at least what we've seen here in practice, from about 9 months down to about 4 to 5 months. So having if this is the DACA advanced parole pending for 2 years, that seems to be a little too much, too long. And so, submit the inquiries and see what can come out of it. We don't like people traveling on advanced parole with a prior deportation order. So, we would be looking at it, obviously, to see if there is a way to reopen it, to get it closed, to get it terminated. If you have an attorney, talk to them to see, what is the plan with that deportation order, because even if you're granted parole, and some people risk it, they go in because it's a parole, so it kind of supposed to be as if you never left, and you are returning back to the same circumstance, which is you having a deportation order. But there wouldn't be a way of adjusting unless that is taken care of, the deportation order. So, how can a new administration affect you? Well, we'll have to see what will they do. What type of priorities will they introduce or reintroduce? So we'll have to see. One thing that we're hearing from the courts, from the government attorneys, is that the prosecutorial discretion, something that they have been using, like one of the tools to close cases or to kind of put them either to terminate or close them, they will not likely be exercising those. It will go away, and so it will all get determined by who will get appointed and what will be the policy. But we're hearing a very, very strong rhetoric against immigrants or people who are undocumented, people that have removal orders. Generally speaking, the priorities are criminals, and then they'll just consider to see how much resources they have and what else can they do. So that would be my input.
Yeah, just a quick update on DACA. There's that case that currently is under review with the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. So DACA right now is partially suspended, as we know. Only individuals who have it can renew it, but there's no first-time applicants who can file for DACA at this point. They just had oral argument at the circuit court level, and we're expecting a decision maybe this year, but it doesn't look like, if it's well, I don't know. I mean, but if it's denied, DACA, or this case, if it's not held as a legal exercise of authority here, then they'll go ahead and appeal it with the Supreme Court. We don't anticipate that they'll take it. It could be up to 2026 when they review it. So there's a good chance that those who have DACA will be able to renew their and sleep relatively well next year, if the Supreme Court doesn't take this case up until 2026. So that is something. But just one more comment on Eli. It's really, like Martin said, I would probably reconsider leaving if you have a deportation order with DACA. There are ways that people can leave even if they have a deportation order, but those apply for individuals who have TPS and other protections. But with DACA coming back, if the CBP officer sees you have a deportation, they don't have to abide by what USCIS says in regards to advanced parole. So I would be careful about that. Thank you, Eli, for your question. Well, it's really going to be about knowing your rights, right? If you have a deportation order, if you were placed in deportation proceeding, now is the time to be looking for your records. Now is the time to be speaking with a lawyer, because it takes several months to get your records, and it's important to figure out what happened, because one of the priorities for them is not only for those who have criminal convictions, but also for those who have prior deportation orders. They could be a priority. And if you don't have DACA or anything else, it would be advantageous to you to speak with a lawyer and see if there's any way that you can reopen your prior deportation order. But don't wait, because you really have no use if you're detained and we're trying to reopen your case. So it's important that you think proactively here. Martin, we've been through this before. We had even developed an app for our clients. this was a tool that we got our heads together and said, there's a lot of anxiety. People are being stressed out. And we created an app precisely for these situations back in 2000 when during Trump's first administration. If you want to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, in 2018, so we're developing a platform, and as soon as the administration has started their pretty poignant rhetoric, we released the app, which Nick just showed on the screen. I'm showing it here. If people can see it, but it's just taking your attorney, taking Nick or Martin on your phone into your pocket and just going about your daily business. But especially now, I'm seeing in various social media groups, attorneys and ACLU posting "Know Your Rights." That's exactly what this is. It's just know your rights, whether you are in a car being detained or pulled over, whether you're at home or you're at work, and there's an audit or some kind of a raid. All of this is contained in the app. So people can learn about their rights, what to say, what not to say, and how to deal with law enforcement officers. It's fully packed, and this is your know your rights. And just like we send out a PIP update yesterday, you get push notification updates literally on your fingertips, and most importantly, it has this emergency button, and people ask, well, what is it? And so it's just a great tool to connect you in the event of any kind of emergency, when you want to reach out to the attorney and to the family, to your loved ones. Whenever this red button is enacted, we immediately can find you on the map through GPS location. So Google Maps, we can see exactly where you are. So we have an idea where you are. And whenever it's enacted, the app starts recording the audio and uploading it to the cloud every few seconds. So as soon as there's cell coverage, it uploads. I can in real time, and we've done this over and over. At 2 o'clock in the morning, at 4 o'clock in the morning, we know who the client is. We are able to read through the notes, quickly scan what has happened, see the immigration history. And then we know where they are, who they are with, what they're saying, and perhaps what will happen to them. So it's letting us know before something happens, before somebody's taken into custody. Because once somebody's taken into custody, it's over, right? I mean, the family, the attorneys, nobody knows what happened to the person until that person calls from detention. But whenever this button is enacted and it's enabled, we know immediately that something's up. And the loved ones that are connected to it, they'll get text notification that there is an emergency. And if nothing happens, if person gets a ticket or gets a warning, they can cancel it, and everybody gets a message that there was a false alarm. But it is for that precise reason. In 2018, when things were not looking very good, we built this, and we gave this peace of mind to our clients and to our prospective clients, and they are educated. They know about changes in immigration law, but they're also protected. And our clients that have cases with us, we monitor this 24/7. People can just download it and just for their informational purposes, to be kept abreast of any immigration developments. So it's just a great tool. And if somebody's watching it who has different immigration attorneys, their own immigration attorneys, they can talk to the immigration attorneys to start using the service, and they can support their clients through that law office. But if you would like to try it, you can scan the QR code, or I believe we have the link in the comment section or in the post, and you can set up the account and you can download it and just test it. It's just a great tool, and people love it.
Yeah.
This is know your rights in your pocket.
Send us a message if you have an attorney and you're interested in that, and you want to see if your attorney would be interested in having that as an additional tool in representing you, then just let us know. Martin, we're going to take a couple of questions here before we close. We do have a question here from Rochelle Lewin. Thank you for your question. Any chances for a VAWA application? Well, well, in terms of VAWA, and I'll take it as, are there going to be any changes for individuals who are applying for VAWA, which is a protection given to immigrants who are abused by spouses or parents who are U.S. citizens. And just based on the last administration, I don't believe that this is going to be a priority for them. If it's a humanitarian type of relief, I think it's not something that they'll really focus on. I think they're really looking at the low-hanging fruit here, individuals deporting, massive deportations, or deporting people who have criminal convictions. But I think for now, I think you should be fine.
Real quick, I'm just going to jump in there. So when people have questions and they don't know about these various legal status for statuses for victims on the app, so there's people can click on and click it through, and it's about VAWA, victims of crime, the U visa, the trafficking visa. So they can learn more about it. They can read through it. They can actually click on that audio icon and they can listen to it. And it's just a nice comprehensive overview of what VAWA is, or what U visa for victims of crime is.
Yeah. Jason writes visa and deportation, how to fight his case this day if he has a wife and daughter. This is important to note that you hear all this rhetoric from Trump and his surrogates, and they're saying, massive deportation, right? What they're not telling you is that many of us, doesn't matter if you were born here or you're outside, if you're a U.S. citizen or an immigrant, you do have rights under the law. And one of those rights is to see a judge if you were not deported in the past. And so if for example, if you have an encounter with immigration and they first need to let you know that they're going to place you in removal proceedings, and there is a formal proceeding for that. They have to give you the reasons why they're deporting you. They have to have evidence, and you have the right to get a lawyer at that point, right? And then we can look at that and see if there's any remedies that you might have under the law. And there are remedies under the law. There are remedies for those who have been living here in the United States for a long period of time, who have family members here, close family members. We're talking about qualifying relatives who are U.S. citizens, spouses, or children or parents. If you can show hardship, there is relief called cancellation of removal if you lived here for 10 years at the very minimum. So those are things that we can look at. And what we caution is just that you do not sign anything without speaking to a lawyer first, because sometimes rather than putting you in proceedings, sometimes they won't even tell you that. They'll just say, hey, there's a bus waiting for you after we detain you and process you. There's a bus waiting for you, a straight ticket to Mexico. You don't have to wait. You want to be detained here for a week or two. They'll try to pressure you, and you just have to say, no, I want to see I want to speak to an attorney. I want to see a judge. In some cases, we can even get you out on bond. You do have a right to bond in some situations. So it's very important that you insist in seeing a judge and speaking with a lawyer. That said, I know that you are busy, Martin, and you have a conference call soon. But in closing, and thank you everyone for listening. Please do not forget to subscribe. We are going to be doing these programs more regularly. We are going to be doing more hot takes and just giving more information out as these programs or new policies roll out. But really, in closing, we've seen it before in times of change. I know it sounds corny, but just remember that you're not alone. We're here to help guide you and inform you of your rights, and we work tirelessly on your behalf. So we are committed to staying vigilant, and we we adapt to these new policies and we strategize. As I said, we'll be posting regularly on social media platforms, and don't forget to subscribe or follow us. Mart, any final thoughts?
Just it's been a difficult, challenging week, I I don't think we're gonna see or hear anything else that could make it worse. But just look what you said, and we started off at the top of the show. We are here for you, and we'll keep fighting for you. So don't despair. As bad as it looks, as bad as it feels, we'll make through. We'll make it through.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Good night.